Hello, everyone. Welcome this week to Pitch Please, or to this week's Pitch Please, I guess. This is the show where people who play games... Wow, fantastic. I feel I've got an audience already. Should a round of applause?
There's that one guy listening. I love this podcast.
The show where people who play games pitch ideas to people who make them. With me, as always, the co-host Goblin.
I love you, Chris. You're my favourite.
I want to go in his
actually
pitch
walked
hole.
away from the microphone to reproduce that. Well done.
Yeah, I did too.
With me as always,
Shambles.
Co-host Pitch Goblin, Pitch, I don't know, think
Guru.
You know, Pitch Guru. Yeah, maybe.
Pitch
Wizard.
Tank.
That's
Pitch Tank.
Tom.
Like a think tank.
Hello.
Pitch Tank.
I'm Tom.
Well, he's not
Welcome
like,
to my hole.
you know.
Pitch Pitcher. Also, Chris, as always.
Hello, I am Chris. You'll stay at home, wash your hands. I don't have a job this week. Now I'm doing my bit.
You're like a NHS volunteer, Chris Yules.
I'm just doing my bit. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
Yeah.
And
Play
also
video
we
games.
have with us James.
Hello, I'm James.
Hi.
Hi, James.
Hi, James.
Hey.
You always forget the glurt bit. What are you doing, James?
One half of the devs working on Drink More Glurp.
Lovely.
Yes.
You might have noticed that things sound a little bit different. It's because we're all in the midst of the self-isolation phase of everyone's life right now.
This is Pitch
yeah.
Please Lockdown Edition.
So we're all recording from home. So hopefully it sounds fine. But we're going to carry on anyway with some hot new game ideas. Hot new game ideas. Are you ready for my ready game ideas?
I'm so ready. I need something in my life.
Wait, no, I'm not ready yet, Tom. I need you to set us up.
Well, this time I said my hot game ideas. This time round, I'm not actually doing my game ideas. I found a subreddit called Game Ideas, literally Game Ideas. Can you tell what I googled? And there's it's
Did
not
you do
a
this
huge.
about 2 minutes before we started recording?
No, it was a
When
while
you realised
ago.
you had no ideas.
It was after episode 1 when I said I was a font of game ideas, and I then left the podcast and then Googled help. I need more game ideas.
And then pitch hole.
Scraping the bottom of my pitch hole, which turns out not very deep. But it's not a massive subreddit, only 26,000 members, but there's some genuinely really cool ideas in here, and I think it'll be like a nice fun. We'll go through like we did before with the community episode, where we just quick shot, just a load of ideas, just bam, 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 bam. You ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
So I mean that doesn't really give any introduction to my pitch hole. My pitch hole is just dank and mossy.
You asked us
I feel
like
already.
that's
We
closed
said
today.
yes,
We
and
tried- we
you
go to it.
immediately just stopped and not advanced with the pitches.
All right, fine. Let's advance. Okay, so I've searched for this by top all-time posts on this subreddit. This one by SkyteZo_Franic.
What a name.
Yeah, so
I don't know what that means.
and also we always say how many upvotes we've got for some reason, right? So this guy got 224. So you start at a character creation screen where you're given all these awesome options for traits, some of them chosen at random, and almost enough points to max out some stats. After making the final touches and saving, you're taken to another character creation screen with less options and about half the amount of points to go into stats. You are then informed that the character you previously made is the antagonist, and you may have to face them later.
See,
How cool is that?
that is a really cool idea the first time you play it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I feel like second time round, you could just make them a real scrub, and you're just like, well, final boss is easy.
It's one of those games that you have to go in, like when people tell you to play it, you have to know nothing about it, right? If you already know about the game, like it's ruined.
What
basically.
if there was like it goes into a pool of all your Steam friends lists characters as well, right? So say if everyone's got it, there's like a community pool, rather than, hey, if you make this guy, you're definitely going against him. You could make a guy who someone else might be going against.
Oh, okay. So you're always trying to screw over your friends by making like just
then,
real tough boys.
or maybe the first guy you go against is always the one you make, and then every time you do another playthrough, it could be a community made one.
What if it forces whatever the stronger character is? It just forces it to be the antagonist. So you can't just say, "Oh, I have to make this guy weaker." You have to make a strong character to be against.
Right. I see. Okay.
Alternatively, it could just do like a 50-50 chance. Right. It's just like, I'm going to make this character. Hopefully, that's the guy I'm playing. More often than not, no, you're not. That's the bad guy.
Is there anything in there that is just about, like, people love the whole character creation element of games, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that, well, I mean, a lot of people do. Is there anything in there that is just a game in itself, like just creating these characters, like that you can then, like, even if it's not, because I mean, we haven't even got on to like what do you do with these characters? Is it fighting? Is it beat 'em up?
Like Bloodborne and like Dark Souls, like wacky character. Like one of the bosses, like the big end boss is whatever monstrosity you make along the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is less a game idea, more a mechanic for a game that would only work once. However, okay, what about this? What if it was just a regular RPG, whatever, I don't know, just like a Dungeon Delver or whatever, but it's a Twitch Plays thing where everyone in the Twitch audience are making characters for you to fight against.
I like that.
That is, so the Twitch audience are constantly engaged in the create your own character thing. They
exactly,
have like another window that somehow feeds into the game.
If I was making that character and I didn't know it was going to be an antagonist, I think I'd be really annoyed. Because like, did any of you play Mass Effect? I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
And I was at the time blown away that you could carry that character from that you create in Mass Effect and carry it over to Mass Effect 2 and then Mass Effect 3, and you get this like real, you think you are that character, you have that real care of that character. If I spent ages making a character and it's like, now you've got to fight them, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to.
I don't know.
I like them too much. I love them.
James just is like, no, I refuse to play this game.
I was just like,
uninstals.
I mean, I make some real monsters. I'd love to see. I don't know. I think it's so cool though. Like, you just make a character that you really, really like. Maybe it's your character that you carry across every game, and then all of a sudden you're not that person anymore. It forces you to make someone new, and you just see this dude like bust through a wall. It's like, hey, it's fight time, motherfucker. I think that's
like the Kool-Aid guy.
Mate, what if you make? What if you make every character?
Every single character in the game.
Yeah,
even
so you
the
like
NPCs.
even the NPCs.
That's called game development.
But I mean, yeah, like because like Skyrim and all of those games, all of the characters in that are just random generations of the character creator, right?
Right.
No, not necessarily.
I think they're tailor-made to look a certain way.
But
however,
they do use the in-game character tools.
Yeah, because there was also Dragon's Dogma, right? Like one of my favorite games, where you can create your character, and then you also have pawns, PAWN,
Thank you for clearing that up.
who follow you around. So you have yourself, and then you have your sidekick, who you can also customize,
right?
Like completely customize in as much detail as your main character, and then you can have two other pawns that other people have made. So more often than not, you open the game and Dr. Phil is following me around because someone made Dr. Phil in Dragon's Dogma.
Nice.
I had no idea that was in Dragon's Dogma. That sounds great.
It's awesome. So yeah, but what if you extend that to, you go into a town and then the game is like, right, we need 3 people. You need to make 3 people. One of them's a shopkeep. Okay. One of them's a blacksmith. One of them is a quest giver. What do you want them to look like? What do you want them to be?
I thought you were going to say, okay, you need to make 3,000 people. You need to populate this town.
You need to make a small village.
Grand Theft Auto. And
45 hours
City.
into my playthrough, I can finally start the game.
No, but that makes it. Yeah, so if you like. What if you were to like, if you were going to a town and it was you were saying like, okay, you need to make like the main people that you're going to interact with, like the king and like the shopkeeper or whatever, but then perhaps other NPCs in that particular village. It's almost like a biome of people, right? So you set the basic presets, and then the other kind of random NPCs might be some kind of variation on those.
Yeah, like
if you choose a lot of people with red hair.
You make a family and it auto generates a kid. Hang on a minute, we've made an expansion pack to The Sims, haven't we?
Oh shit! No, this is fine. This is not our idea, is it? We can work our hands a bit.
Well, there we go. So
one second. I think James had. I saw his face. He's
okay.
up.
I'm surprised
he's got a little cheeky nug. hidden.
What I really liked was the idea that you chuck all of your Steam friends. You will chuck all of your creations in a pot, and maybe it's like actually, if we made a better Pokemon game, you make your own Pokemon character.
My God,
with all of the customization options for that, and then you send them off.
This isn't an expansion for The Sims. It's an expansion for Spore.
Oh my God, it is.
Sporkamon.
Sporkamon.
Oh my God. Okay, all right. Okay, so give us the rundown on Sporkamon. How does this work?
So, Skytso_Franic, thank you for your mechanic suggestion that you didn't suggest to us. We have now made Sporkamon, which is an expansion for Spore, where you and all the community make little aliens. You make every single character in the game, including the NPCs, including Professor Oak, and then you go around catching little Sporkamons, and you assign random stats to them. So there might be like legendary Sporkamon.
Yeah, and it's a good name as well, because a spork is a combination of a spoon and a fork. It's there's
so many levels
amalgamation of cutlery. That's what this game is.
Yeah, it's a horrible amalgamation of two things that no one asked for.
Exactly.
So there you go. That's Sporkamon. Shall we move on?
Sporkamon sounds pretty good. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to top
Next
it.
one.
I think that's it.
So this is by ManGuy11111111 with 221 upvotes. Well done. So game idea: you play as a humble peasant who must fight off waves of adventurers who feel entitled to just walk into your house and loot whatever they please.
Brilliant. You ain't smashing my pots today, son.
So, okay, I'm straight away thinking Home Alone.
Oh my God, okay, yeah.
So it's like Orcs Must Die. Do you remember like the whole wave-based, you set traps and stuff, but it's Home Alone stuff. So it's stuff you can find in your house.
Yeah.
But are we saying it's medieval times? Is it like, you know, what's the setting? Is it fantasy?
It's fantasy.
Why that? But what if it was just Home Alone?
But Home Alone already exists as a game.
I feel like
not great.
Macaulay Culkin's Home Alone.
But there have been so many like dungeon
as he is now.
Yeah.
Right, where he looks like
someone's
many
invading
years
his mansion.
of crack
Home invasion.
Cocaine smoke bomb.
Yeah, wait, hang on. So have we just made Home Alone?
We've made
Is this just a movie tie-in to Home Alone?
We've made Home Alone the game,
the difference
but
is
he's an adult now. And it's like
there are so many dungeon games where you're setting traps and things that exist.
We
like
made
already.
one.
Like that fantasy setting is very done. But the idea of that in modern day in a house where you're setting up traps with like just things that you have to make traps. Like so there's a crafting element as well. So you have to make traps with things in your house.
In my head, the game at runtime is like Orcs Must Die, right? But in the prep phase, it's like The Sims, like construction mode. So we can like plonk stuff down and like do stuff like that. But when it happens,
I was thinking like Rust.
Run around with like a bat or something. Yeah, but like all like that. Yeah. But I just think.
Hang on. But if we modern day this, so who's invading the house?
Home invaders. Like awful really terrible people.
Let's make it on topic, on brand. People trying to raid your house for toilet
Looters.
rolls.
Oh yeah, and your bathroom is like the furthest away point from the main entrances.
You have a room that is just completely full of toilet roll.
Yeah, you've got tons and tons of toilet roll and hand sanitizer. And you're trying to stop people from getting in, getting out.
In this, are we the bad guy?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, you're the bad guy.
Okay.
Or maybe you've just got like a regular amount of toilet roll, like 5 a day, like I do.
Yeah, that's just healthy. That's just a healthy bowel movement.
It's just a healthy amount, right?
What if it was you're a hoarder and there's like a reality TV show that are trying to come in and clean up your house, and you've got to like stop all the camera crews getting in?
Oh, nice.
What was that show?
There was one on TV. I don't know.
It was
Mel and Sue's.
Was it Kim and Aggie? Wasn't
clean
it?
Up. That's it. Yeah, Kim and Aggie.
Kim and Aggie. How clean is your house?
Is that when they would just
it could
walk
be,
around people's houses and just be like, oh, look at that?
Yeah, essentially. Like, we've got a pile of rats over there in the corner. We got to clean that up. Well,
look how these people live.
Yeah. And then final level is who's does not spark joy? Who is that? I forgot her name.
Mary
Mary
Kondo.
Kondo.
Mary
Yeah.
Kondo.
Mary or Marie.
She also tries to raid your house as well.
She's the final boss.
Yeah,
and she has electric powers. She's literally sparks joy. That's what she does.
Right.
She's the Emperor Palpatine of cleaning.
So it plays kind of like Rainbow Six Siege in that you've got like 5 minutes. You go around, you loot spoons and forks and like bits of wood and like lamps and stuff like that. And there's a really expansive crafting menu where you can mix forks with your ceiling fan to make a deadly device.
Yes. Love it.
Or things like that. Or you can just pull wires out of the wall.
Because I love that idea that you can walk around the house and you can interact with basically any object.
Yeah.
And you just never know what's going to happen if you put these things these two things together. You're constantly thinking like, can I put a fork like inside a toaster to make a trap statue in the
you die.
I can.
Do not do that.
You die in the prep phase if you do that.
Anyone listening? No.
That won't make anything good. You die.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's it. Like, if you put it in at the right time, then maybe leave it in there. So I used to live in a house, like a house share when I was at uni, and I was in my room. Playing I was playing Mass Effect 2, so that's how long ago it was. And all of a sudden, my computer cut out, and then I looked out my room, and then my roommate was looking out of his door, being like, "Did your electricity just go off?" And we're like, "Yeah, what's going on?" So we went downstairs, and our housemate was jamming a fork into the toaster, trying to get
oh my God,
a piece of toast out. Just like, this fucking thing won't come out.
Jesus.
It was fun. It was fun.
Well,
it was fun in the end.
Do you know what I learned from that? Is that you don't shut your doors.
That's what you learned.
Yeah.
Not don't jam forks into toasters.
My door is locked, let alone shut. It's just like, hey, everyone, take the fuck out.
I once destroyed a toaster by pre-spreading stuff onto it before I put the bread in.
What?
I put some butter on the bread and then put the bread in the toaster.
That's not even a time saver. It's just swapping the order of things.
I was like 5, all right?
Why did you do that? Okay.
I was young. I was very young, but I destroyed a toaster doing that.
You don't understand how a toaster... That's like the American friend I had who just put a toast... they'd never seen a kettle before, because apparently in America that's not a thing.
Yeah, they don't have
so
kettles.
to make a cup of tea, they just put a bunch of tea bags into the kettle and then boiled it.
Yeah, I've seen someone do that.
But would that work?
Yeah.
Is that the craziest thing?
It does work, but why?
I'm just thinking maybe I can save myself some time.
It is removing a step. Yeah, it is a bit of a time saver. I don't know. Maybe we should try it.
At the moment, we don't need to save any time. We've got too much time on our hands.
I don't normally like boil the kettle and go, oh, I do wish it would be quicker, and I wish I had a zip tap. But in the whole process of things, I'm not going, hang on, if I put a tea bag in there, I could shave a couple of seconds off.
I like using that time while the kettle's boiling to try and complete some kind of task to see how quickly I can do it. Like whether it's like washing up or like unloading the dishwasher or going upstairs to get... Do you ever do that?
Sorry,
this
has turned from a video game development podcast to just shit about appliances and...
Anyway, let's go.
We'll come back around.
I've got this new table for my kid.
Let's head back. Home Alone, Marie Kondo,
Marie Kondo's
Kim and Aggie.
Home Invasion.
We need a name for it. Marie Kondo's Home Alone? I don't know, how do we want to...
Marie Kondo's Home Invasion?
Home Invasion, yes.
Oh, what about Horde Hunters?
Horde Hunters, they're
Where's the celebrity endorsement?
I like that.
Marie Kondo's Horde Hunters.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the boss.
Featuring
she's
Kim
final
and
boss. Yeah.
And sub-bosses.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other, Horde Busters.
I was going to say Gillian McKeith, but she stares at poo in toilets. Remember her? The health
she's not
lady?
even a real...
Yeah. But Dr. Christian
is like a total fraud.
What about Storage Hunters? That was a thing. I don't know who they are, though.
But I don't know if we're bidding on people's things.
No. All right. Well, that's what that is. It's a game where you can craft anything out of anything to defend your home from home invaders trying to get to your precious TP.
But hang on, I think we have veered off, but I don't think we're necessarily done with that yet. We still need to figure out how do you? Is it just a series of levels? Do you get points?
I think the wages just go up.
Like how well you do. Is it
it's like
they
Rainbow
are billions?
Six?
Until you run out. I think until you run out
Rainbow
of toilet
Six.
paper.
Okay.
You have to protect as much as you
they
can.
are billions. They are billions is a good one. Yeah, you survive the thing, and then you have to then just go around the house and pick up more stuff. Anyway, that's what that is.
Okay. All right. Next one.
Next one. This is by El Heba. 189 upvotes. Well done. I don't know why we keep doing that.
Well, because we're stealing their ideas.
Good job.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a horror game that purposefully drops the frame rate when the monster shows up, but the monster itself renders at full speed.
No, I'm immediately vetoing that. That is awful.
I don't like that at all.
Any game where the frame rate drops is just bullshit, like deliberately. That's the most frustrating thing in a game when you can't play it properly.
Wait, what game have you played where the frame rate drops?
Well, not deliberately, but when you're playing a game and you know if you walk into a town or something and the frame rate goes, that is just people have seen that so many times that it's just immediately tied to a feeling of ugh.
Exactly, that's the horror.
No, the horror is
Okay.
Like if the monster gets too close, your computer blue screens. The thing is, I think there was a Batman game that did this, wasn't there?
Just deletes itself.
I think there's in one of the Batman games when you're going against Scarecrow, like Batman is seeing like all of his usual horrors. Oh, my parents are dying, whatever, right? But then all of a sudden,
get over it.
All of a sudden, the game like tanks. It just like goes really, really slow. It's probably Arkham Knight. It was probably running as usual, and then like a screen shows up that just says like it's like a blue screen, and then it goes back to the main menu, and you're like, "Fuck! What the hell just happened?" Like, have I just lost my save?
Fucked with you.
And it's like I was in actual dread. I just like lost my save.
But then you load it up any of that from any of the games.
It definitely happened.
It was
definitely a thing.
He had the flu. Dreamt it.
And then you load back in through the main menu, and you're back in that same place, and it's actually like a thing, like a scripted thing. And it was amazing. It was just such a cool.
That sounds great. That, like as a small feature. Of a game, right? If that was a whole game and you're constantly having to deal with, unless it's like is it like Alien Isolation? Is that the idea? And so you're mostly at decent frame rate.
Yeah.
But then occasionally you'll see the monster.
Yeah. And then you have to try and navigate the level while on a low frame rate, but the monster itself is moving at regular speed.
I don't. No.
I mean, I'm more curious as to what that would actually look like, but I don't know if maybe
how are you seeing
effects though? You wouldn't just want to do the frame rate. You could do all sorts of interesting things like other filters, or keeping
like
the monster.
Slender Man does it well.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
The static.
The static and the that's how you know that he's close, or and then the noise as well, obviously. So you get audio and you get visual. I think ruining the gameplay experience might not be the best idea for a video game, which.
But I think that mechanic of like having something like you have to like whenever you see the monster, it has some kind of impact on your ability to play the game. Like even if it's not like a performance based thing, but if it's like you have a sanity meter or whatever, I'm sure games have done this already. But something
we love sanitometers.
There is something there. Sanitometers, yeah. There's definitely something there. Like I feel like what about like I mean there are so many games where you don't want to look at the monster. What if like you have to look at the monster in order to I don't know, in order to do something, in order to progress or to move.
There are some games like that, but we have to look at them to make them go away.
Oh, really?
Isn't that Slender Man?
No,
you can't look at Slender Man.
Oh, I know you
confused
with.
You do look at Slender Man because he can't teleport if you're looking at him.
Yeah.
Oh, is that? Oh,
it's the same as like the statues from Doctor Who. You know that the little angel statues that if you blink, they move. Don't blink. You just have to stare at them.
Oh yeah.
So that would be great. Especially in VR, because that would scare the shit out of me.
Okay, maybe not a low frame rate one, because I agree. Once I see a low frame rate, I just immediately start to dislike the game itself and not the feeling that it's trying to generate.
Maybe there is something. If the game wasn't, say, like a Slender Man where you're first person walking around, if it was like going on the Batman idea where the game tries to trick you or something, like go Doki Doki with it, and like the game is starting to behave weirdly.
Go what with it?
Go who?
What's Doki Doki? Could you explain that game?
Doki Doki Literature Club. Did you see that? It was like a one of those Japanese style. What would you call it? Story game,
which is like a text adventure.
Adventure, yeah. And it turns out to be a horror game, and you're in this sort of nightmare, and they're all like horrible. The AI is the game is trying to like possess you, and I haven't played it. This is what I remember and have heard.
Right. Okay.
But it's like super freaky. So what if it was like the game, the AI or something had taken over the game, and then you get low frame rate, and you're like, what's going on? What? And then there's like something else nefarious going on. There's like something that's tricking you by sending you back to the menu, or I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe not, but
horror by just breaking the game or giving the illusion of a broken game. Again, one of those things that you can only really play once. Oh God, imagine if it actually crashed though.
I'm just going to say I don't like this at all.
All right, fair enough. I mean, but I think there is something there, but I feel like that, anything to do with performance is, or giving the illusion that your game is like not running properly as a whole mechanic, like a main core mechanic of the game, isn't really going to work that well. Like in Arkham Asylum, it sounds great because that's a small. It's like in Metal Gear 2, is it? When the Colonel is telling you to turn your console off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like as a small moment, that's really cool. But like when the whole game revolves around that, we're so tied to like performance, like on computers, or problems with computers just being really aggravating. And I think you can divorce it from that.
I don't know. There is a part of me that thinks like you're just walking through 60 FPS, just fine, and you can't see the monster anywhere, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Am I down to 30? I'm down to 30."
Okay, right. Oh, so he's looking at you.
So you use your FPS as like a radar.
Essentially, yeah. Like the closer he is, the worse your FPS is.
Oh my God! So if he's on you, it's like one.
That's still, because the problem is with that. It's not just, so you have to think of FPS as an accessibility issue as well, because a lot of people like higher frame rate because it makes them feel less ill. It's the same with field of view. I don't like low field of view because it makes me feel a bit iffy, especially at higher frame rates. So I think you're gonna get into a lot of issues.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one then. I don't even remember the username of the last guy, but this one is by Left 4 DayZ 1, which is 176 upvotes. Well done.
It's a zombie game.
Yeah, I like that's like a story in a name. It's like implies that he used to be a big Left 4 Dead fan and he's left it
for
DayZ.
What an idiot!
What do you think his game idea is then? With the username,
I think it's
Left 4
something
DayZ 1.
to do. I think it's is it just DayZ?
What if is it definitely DayZ or a wife? Has he gone and like met someone and called DayZ?
It's actually, it's actually My Little Pony zombie survival adventure that he's come up with, isn't it?
No, so this is.
It's got zombies in it.
It doesn't have zombies in it. Actually, I can see this, and I'm telling you, I don't even know why I'm asking. You won't get it. So this is. He's actually got a name of this already. It's called The Guy in the Chair. It's a game where you play.
Sounds scary.
We'll come up with that one. It's a game where you play as the hero's guy in the chair, bringing up information, schematics, coordinates, hack security systems, disable power grids, etc., on the fly as your heroic counterpart fights the big bad.
I like it. It needs to be co-op. And it needs to be simultaneous. One of you plays as the guy, the other one plays as what we're going to call the man in the seat. Because don't come up with a name on this podcast. That's what we do.
But I reckon that could be like what's it called? Is it like asymmetric VR? When you have I think that would be a really cool idea for like a VR where the guy in the chair, the man in the seat is potentially they could be playing it in VR. And then the other person can have a totally different experience,
it's like when you have the one where the guy in the VR, the person in VR, stuck on the man in the seat. The person in VR plays as like a huge monster, and all the other players who see the screen play as like little people trying to escape the city as you smash it and you have to try and grab them. That's a fun game that I've seen before. And I think that system kind of works. It's kind of like keep talking and nobody explodes, but it's just keep being action man and tell me stuff.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, what is the other side of it? Sorry, go on, Tom.
Well, the other side of it is just like I don't know, you're just running through the building. Maybe not superhero. Maybe it's like
I think like Metal Gear.
Like an FBI Siege kind of thing, or maybe like a stealth game, yeah.
I was thinking 24, Jack Power.
Yeah, so you've got...
Constantly...
throughout the entire game. So yeah, you've got the one guy who's like the agent who's like raiding the building, and he operates purely on fog of war, right? He can only see what he can see. But you've got the other guy's got like the schematics to the building. Maybe they're up to date, maybe they're not. And also some kind of, maybe he's got like a walkie-talkie. He's like picked into the feed of the enemies. and he can also listen to that. Maybe he's got like the codes. He's trying to hack the codes to get through certain doors. There's CCTV cameras, so he can see different rooms as well.
I love that. Like, I love the idea that you have the fog of war, the person who's playing. Like, I was imagining it as like a top-down kind of thing. I don't know how you feel, but like, literally, you're not seeing anything.
Style. Do you know, like,
and then you. Yeah.
That
so is it like as your person in the chair uncovers information, you reveal the fog of war might be like they might.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
So
I think the person sees exactly as much as they see, right? Like that
the fog envelops them as they move. So
yeah, they can only see their line of sight throughout the entire thing, but they are just operating purely on the communication of the man in the seat.
Right.
And so he says, like, okay, I'm in this room. It's got this thing. Also, the guy in the seat, the man in the seat, he doesn't know where this guy currently is unless he sees him on CCTV, right? So they're constantly communicating.
Yeah.
And if information is wrong as well, if their schematics are incorrect, and they're like, okay, there should be a door here, and then the guy in the room is like, there's not a door here. It's been boarded up, or maybe you've got a schematic.
It's an old
I think there should be the guy, the male in the chaise lounge, this is the other. Should also, like, he should see. I think he should see the blip of the player, but it should only update like every 15 seconds. So it's like a tick. So you can be like, okay, go forward this much, and he's like, okay, and then 15 seconds, you're like, no, you've gone way too far. Why have you done this? And then you have to wait. So it's all about like clear communication. And stuff like that.
This reminds me of that scene in Jurassic Park where Ellie Sattler's being led through the tunnels to turn on the power. Do you remember?
Yeah.
With the Velociraptor?
Yeah, the Velociraptor.
That sounds great.
To me, this just sounds like all the Mission Impossible films. There's someone in a van, with their setup, and then, I don't know, Tom Cruise is off doing a thing.
Person in the van.
The man in the van.
Man in the van.
Or woman.
Well, does it have to be multiplayer?
I feel like it has to, otherwise.
How would it work?
I don't think it would work.
Well, no, I mean, like, how are you thinking it would work if it was single player?
I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out.
I've got nothing.
Just throw a hammer in the works.
There you go. So
I feel like, because otherwise you're not going to be able to communicate. Like, because I think that the core, what makes the game interesting, by the sounds of it so far, is the communication, the constant communication. Like, where are you? What can you see? What color is this pipe that you're looking at? What shape is the door? Does it have how big is it? Is it bigger than you? Is it, all that kind of stuff?
And then it's like, we've been jammed, so now I can't track you on the map, that kind of thing. There's loads of stuff you could do.
Well, I think in terms of making it a single player game where you are literally just the man in the van, maybe it's like Papers, Please, where you can click on all these individual elements to warn them off. Like if you suddenly see a radar ping, you click on that and that is then communicated to the AI running through the map.
I think people as there's a great line from Men in Black, and it's perfect in this current time, is that a person is smart, people are dumb. Right?
Okay.
You can do a clever thing, but as soon as you involve another person, you have to be on exactly the same page, which is what we wanted to do with so we did the same thing with Brunch Club. The more people you have doesn't make it easier; it makes it harder because there's an extra person to fuck up.
But I think with two people though, that's that's focus, right?
Then you really know that you need to be on the same page.
Yeah. Sorry,
like
James, you were going to say.
I really like the co-op, but then to play devil's advocate, you could sort of play it Lemming style, and that your secret agent is like an idiot. He's Johnny English, and he's just running in, and you need to be like, "Oh my god, don't go in there!" And you have to like quickly give them intel, or like, "Don't go in that room," and they're just charging through like an idiot.
So you have to actively try and stop them from going into places sometimes as well.
Trying to save their life because they're an idiot, and they're just charging into a room full of men
to having quite a clever AI though.
Or they just run forwards.
Because a good way of like a lot of solutions to, hey, we can't figure out an AI for this, is just make it multiplayer and make the people do the thing that you wanted them to do anyway.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. You're either angry at the AI, which would make people hate the game, or you force it to be multiplayer, in which case they hate each other and the game is good. The game is safe because we're forcing people to fight. So it's kind of keep talking, nobody explodes, kind of Papers, Please, kind of Metal Gear Solid mixed together.
That I really like that idea, and I feel like that probably, if you had started off with that at the beginning of an episode, we could have been talking about that for a whole thing,
and then we
come up with something good about it.
We combine all those games together to make the new title. Keep talking, please, Metal Gear. And then, that's it.
Brilliant.
Now, on this subreddit, I'll do one more. This is going to be a quick one because so on this subreddit, someone had trained an AI to make new game ideas based on all of the posts in this subreddit, right?
Okay.
So you can randomly generate an idea. Now, hopefully it will be good. So we have a starting prompt. What do you think it should be? A game where? A game with? What do you want it to be?
A game where? I feel like that's what we say a lot.
Yeah, we can do a with and a where.
Okay, well, a game where, so I've just generated one. It says here, a game where you play as a terrorist. And then there's an asterisk below. This is like now bullet points. Able to kill any security officer patrolling the streets. And then able to board up windows and doors to open up the hiding building inside. And then able to kill any guard that patrols the streets.
Right.
And then
so
underneath that...
twice.
And then underneath that, think a bit like Grand Theft Auto, but with gameplay that extends to include car break-ins and even bank robberies. You know,
so Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto, but you can steal cars.
So it's Grand Theft Auto, but you can board up windows.
Yeah.
So is it just generated Grand Theft Auto?
And you can kill guards patrolling the streets.
And also, you can kill guards patrolling the streets.
Yeah.
What about a game with?
Yeah, let's try a game with.
I'll generate that. It takes a little while. I'll cut this bit out.
Nice. Okay.
Do cut it. No, don't cut it. Actually, keep this in.
Say
Keep this in.
something
This is
winged.
Ding, 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 ding.
Working. Generating.
Oh my god! How long? This takes ages to generate.
Generating game.
Oh my god! Okay, so
Thanks, Chris.
a new game idea. So this is oh my god! Hang on, I need to move this over because there's a lot here. A game with a story and gameplay similar to that of Journey. And I know games in which you must interact with a certain amount of supplies to complete an objective, but the story being a part of a larger storyline for which you have to travel across the lands of Disboniation to complete the story Rancher. Disboniation being a combination of the various regions of the Manipula societies, but with different laws and rules. This is where the player could place their key actions and have them take place in different terrains. Of course, they could add some standard stuff to make the trek a bit easier, if this is the case, morality or WPS, but that could be either of the three bad guys. Now...
Okay, hang on. So let's...
I'm not done.
Alex, let this unravel.
There's more.
Now,
There's more.
I know this is a little and small, but the main mechanics, like those mentioned above, would be to have the option to become and to interact with certain items in TCAON with other players, just like Agar. Of course, this is just a concept I came up with, and not everything is meant, but I thought of it.
We all just had like a group stroke. Is that what's happened?
I feel like the best part of that is it clearly took the most common sentence of this is just a concept that I came up with, and it somehow tried to work it into a pitch.
It put it at the end. It
put it at the
works.
end,
Yeah.
Hold on, we can break this down, right?
So
the
from the top-
first thing was...
I think we've had a breakdown. That's about it.
Journey, right? It started off with Journey.
Yeah.
But
Great game.
And then
bigger.
Amazing.
And then it started talking about different terrains with different laws, and there's a region called Manipula, but also one called Disboniation.
Okay, so how does Journey work? That is just a single... You're going from point A to point B, and there's no communication between two people, right? You're just helping your... I've not actually played Journey. How does it work?
I don't know. I've never played Journey either.
Go point A to point B throughout these lovely scenery, but you can...
Oh my god, this is just
interaction with other players, so you can meet other players that are playing at the same time and just make noises at each other. But
like Death Stranding.
As far as I remember,
I think
it doesn't
this
matter.
just came up with Death Stranding.
Oh my god!
I mean,
to be honest,
complicated.
It does sound like someone's come up with a game in another language, put it through Google Translate, and that's what's come out.
That's true.
Oh my god! You've actually accidentally stumbled upon Kojima's like original pitch sheet.
The concept sheet for
That's right.
Kojima is an AI.
through Google Translate.
Okay, I've done one more, and because we haven't really done. We keep talking about VR, but I think we always go away from VR. So this idea is,
I love VR, so let's do this.
The starting prompt was a VR game, right?
Yeah.
So this idea is a VR game that's free to play. I just need a name.
Perfect. Rec Room. There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
bam.
Okay, so I did that one again because just in case that was garbage. And this one is a VR game that will be free to play, but I'm looking for feedback. And if anyone agrees with my idea, we'll get back to you.
What is it? How is it generating these? This is nothing. It's not,
I don't
it's not
know.
done anything.
It's not done anything.
It's taken. Oh, Jesus.
Not enough
I
VR
do feel
games
like
in the Reddit, I guess.
You do need to pitch a VR game at one point, Tom. That's my.
On the note of
my
VR,
jam.
I really have to. So I started playing Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has completely blown me away.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I was playing it the first time I started playing it because I know VR is like not a. VR is pretty much. It's not dead, but as far as games go, it's not really a. No, but I mean, like it's no. But I mean, like people can't afford it. Most of the games aren't any good or anything. But the first 10 minutes in Half-Life Alyx, I was so over. Do you know that bit in the Two Towers where Saruman takes Grima Wormtongue to the tower and he shows him like the armies, the vast armies, and he sheds a tear because he's so overwhelmed.
Is it really that unique? Is it really that good?
It's gorgeous looking.
What is so good about it is,
good.
so first of all, it looks so good that there are points where I was just staring at a wall
The
at a
rubbish
corner
bags.
of a building. Yeah, the rubbish
The
bag.
rubbish
And I was just
bags.
like,
Everyone says that, and it's like they look
am I in a
so
dream?
good.
This is real. Yeah, but not just that. It's the fact that like all of the mechanics that they had initially in Half-Life 2 with like the gravity gun and stuff.
Yeah.
Those translate so perfectly to VR, and it feels like I'm having the same feeling as when I first played Half-Life 2, and it blew my mind. I'm having that again.
Is it Half-Life 3?
I mean, it's the closest we'll ever get, right?
I think
they're not going to do any
it's
more,
like
surely.
you're wearing a VR headset and someone shouts Half-Life 3 at you, and that's what you imagine, right? It's not quite but it makes you think of Half-Life 3, but it's not Half-Life 3.
But it's totally, but like it feels like you're just in the Half-Life world. It feels like, yeah, okay, I'm in Half-Life now.
Are you
That's how
sad
it felt
that you
like
don't get
to
to
me.
use a crowbar?
Well, you
Spoilers.
can pick up lead pipes. But the crowbar isn't for Alex, right? That's a Freeman thing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I read a really interesting article about the whole crowbar thing and how they tried to get it in there. And the way that you hold a crowbar, because it's hooked, you would
had a
constantly
crowbar in.
catch it on stuff behind you, and there was and it's out of sight, and there's no way for the
Holy
player
shit.
to know. Like they could do a bit of force feedback, but it wasn't enough, and people were just constantly. I just like this idea that people are constantly hooking stuff off shelves and just dragging like loads of shit behind them with this crowbar. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't. It's not an Alex thing. It was the other guy.
Freeman.
I
Freeman.
really
Freeman.
think there are going to be like this will like inspire a new wave of because at the moment like all the people who make good VR games, Valve just fucking bought them up and got them to make Half-Life Alyx, right? But I think this is gonna reinvigorate it a little bit. So maybe next time we need to come up with some kind of VR idea.
Yeah, but I think it also shows
pitch it to Gabe.
that Valve are not just, hey, we're Dota and CSGO and that shitty Artifact game that failed. We're also still a quality game studio and we have really good IP, but we don't use it. We don't do anything with them. But hey, when we do. Yeah.
When they do, it works.
Yeah.
And it works great. But
Also,
unfortunately, no one's going
it's
to play
got
it.
Reece Darby in it, so what more do you need?
That's true.
How-
Reece Darby.
Oh, it does, yeah.
He's hilarious. Yeah, he's great.
Without spoiling it, how long is it?
I mean, I've probably
I've
put
heard
about
it's
2 hours
15.
into it, so I don't know. It's,
15 hours, really?
I heard so,
it feels
yeah.
like a full experience when you're going through it.
AAA.
Like all the sections are designed in a way that they would design a normal Half-Life game. Like it feels like, it feels like you're playing Half-Life 2 for a lot of it, but you know, like brought forward into the modern day.
Man, actually, I'm excited to play it because originally I was thinking it was just a Half-Life VR game, and I think that sums up like a big perception of VR games, where it's like, oh, okay, I'll play it for 5 minutes and then I'll take the headset off and throw up.
I mean, that's just I think you've got that from the Bethesda versions of Fallout and Skyrim, which are just really not rushed, but not refined for VR. They're not made purposely for VR. They are ported in like the some of the menu stuff in Fallout, especially with the old Vive controllers, because how really they're not badly designed. They're just not great controllers, and they lack so much. Like moving, they've obviously with Half-Life Alyx, they designed it for every single headset on the market, basically. Like mixed reality, all of them work with it because they know that not everyone has a Vive or an Index or something like that.
Okay.
That's the problem, though. Like, no matter what you do, you still have to spend like £500 to play it.
Yeah, and have a good rig.
I mean, but if there was like 15 other Half-Life Alyx quality VR games, then sure, I'll totally get one and then play it. However, I'm not going to get a VR headset just to play Half-Life Alyx.
I finally, just before we finish, I've come up with one final mechanic going back to the beginning. The whole character creation thing in VR, right? That could be fun. Imagine if you're sculpting a person.
Well, have you?
A
you
VR
can,
character creator.
Have you seen?
Press your fingers against their face like Play-Doh. You can mold them.
Oculus Medium.
Oculus Medium.
No, what's
Medium
that?
is the it's like a clay sculpting app on Oculus. It's very good, and you can export them as FPXs. You can use them in game. You can then go and rig them.
VR Ghost.
I feel like Tom just came up with an idea. VR Ghost. Oh my god. Yeah, that's good. That's it. That's the sync. Okay. Yeah.
Wait. VR Ghost.
Right.
So there you go. We've got a decent game suggestion. If you have a VR headset, play Half-Life Alyx. Apparently, it's very cool. We came up with 4 really cool ideas. We had some garbage.
Well, we came up with 4 ideas.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think some of them are really cool. I'll leave you with one more AI-generated idea, and it's a game that I think would make a fun game. Thank you for reading my post.
Wow.
Brilliant. Wow. Okay. So maybe next week Tom's hole will be open. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a guest on.
Already in there,
if we're going to do it remote, we'll see.
My hole will be agape.
All right. Brilliant. All right. Well, we look forward to it. We'll see you next week.
See you
Goodbye, everyone.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.